Jadine's side is it has to be disruption mixed with pressure. Both things are a requirement. A couple counter spells is not enough to keep Jared off the combo. Jadine needs to shorten the length of the game and force Jared to go for it before he has the perfect hand.
This could be a bit of a revenge match here as well, as both of these players actually played against each other at Grand Prix Chicago, where Jadine was victorious.
Woohoo.
I don't know how anyone beats Jared ever.
He has not done a lot of losing this year.
No, he has not.
I'd be curious to see what his percentage of wins in sanctioned play is.
Probably a very ridiculous number.
Like over 80%?
Yeah. But I mean, as ridiculous as that sounds, it's potentially true. A ponder there on turn number 1. Boettcher's going to keep, while Klomparens has nothing to do on the first turn of the game. A little bit dangerous, as Rug Delver needs to get the action going early and often.
I would have to imagine this means we're going to see a Tarmogoyf on turn 2. I don't think it's acceptable for Jadine to keep a hand that doesn't have some form of pressure early on in the game.
You imagine probably maybe a Stifle hanging out there to snag one of these fetch lands. Jared going to play a Lotus Petal. See if this resolves. And it looks like that may be good to go. And just pass the turn back. Able to play that Lotus Petal while playing around a card like Spell Pierce. Klomparens will draw a card. And there's a Wooded Foothills. And just pass the turn back over to Boettcher. Boettcher will draw. It's a copy of Scalding Tarn. And this, I believe, will be a Brainstorm.
And this is dangerous territory for Jadine. If her hand is a lot of counter spells, she may still be able to fight through this and win this game. But without a piece of pressure, the Sneak and Show deck is so redundant, has so many cantrips, it's able to assemble hands that can push through a couple counter spells.
Klomparens taking a look through the grip, see if there's a counter spell available here. There's a Spell Pierce. That'll take care of the Brainstorm right away.
And the Spell Pierce there, to me, a very loud indicator that Jadine has Stifle in hand. She's trying to bait Jared into sacking the fetch land to pay for it potentially.
Now here's a Brainstorm. So 3 cards coming here for Klomparens. 2 cards, of course, will have to go back. And with the Wooded Foothills in play, it can be a perfect one. Looks like Klomparens is pretty happy with the 2 cards to put back. Wants to make sure, though. It's always difficult to play against a Sneak and Show deck. One thing goes wrong, and that spell resolves, and you lose.
You do lose, and the fact that this deck has 2 mana lands in it means that even if you can't even say, well, if Jared makes a land drop next turn, I can still fight through everything because some of the lands generate 2 mana. So it's very complicated to play around everything.
And there's a Wasteland just passing the turn back. Boettcher just drew very quickly a Forcible and passed his turn back. So if you're Klomparens, now it's time to get a clock on. Because playing this draw-go game, I believe, favors Boettcher, as Klomparens going to sacrifice the Wooded Foothills.
Well, Jared's hand can only improve, so...
See if Boettcher wants to make a move here with his fetch lands. Looks like the answer is yes. Perhaps it's time for a Stifle. Looks like it is.
The Stifle's probably not getting any better.
No.
So.
And really not that great of a card in this matchup.
No, there's only a couple fetch lands, and Jared's deck with 2 mana lands and basics and Lotus Petals has plenty of alternate sources of mana.
So in response to the Stifle, Jared will sacrifice his Scalding Tarn. See what land he wants to search out here. You saw him bring a Volcanic Island up pretty quickly, but when you're playing against the old Wasteland deck, especially when there's a Wasteland in play, may not be that appealing.
Jared with the basic mountain, not something you see in every list.
Looks like the Stifle will resolve. And now Klomparens is going to search for a card with Wooded Foothills.
The risk of having a mountain in the deck is that you might draw a mountain, which does not help you do very much.
That's
but
true.
Having access to a basic to fetch for can be really nice, especially in spots like this.
So there's Volcanic. Both players will cut and shuffle each other's deck before we do move forward here. We'll see if Klomparens has anything interesting to do on this turn of the game.
So we have all of our shuffling resolved for the moment.
I think we're just going to move back to Jared's turn here. Jared has a whole bunch of Force of Wills in his hand and an Emrakul. That's it. So time for Jared to draw. It's a copy of Ponder. At least that does something. See if he wants to cast it on this board. It looks like he does. So there's a Ponder. Confidently. So time for him to take a look at a couple of cards. Ancient Tomb, a Lotus Petal among them. He just needs to find something realistic to do.
Sting and Show gets into the spot a lot where it's missing a piece of the puzzle, whether it's a way to get something into play or a thing to get into play, and it's just leaning on its cantrips and time to get to the spot where it can find the missing piece.
Scalding Tarn comes down. See if Klomparens can find something to get a clock going. That's the only missing piece in the puzzles. I imagine there's a lot of permission over there, and this looks like maybe a Tarmogoyf, but it is.
There we go.
There's a clock finally. See if this resolves. Boettcher with a Brainstorm, man. He's going to Force a Will this. Moving Force a Will. He does not want that thing on the table. So that is taken care of.
Yeah, as long as the board's empty, Jared's pretty happy to play this game. It's only when something gets into play where he's forced to act. So even though that Tarmogoyf doesn't prevent him from assembling his combo, it's still worth a fight because he gets now even more time.
Lotus Petal number 2 comes in here for Boettcher. There's another Tarmogoyf. See if Boettcher wants to counter this one as well. He does have Force of Will and Brainstorm in his hand. Wants to know how large that Lurgoyf is. And it's relatively big. Looks like I think we're in 3/4 status.
Sorcery, instant, land, creature.
Oh, creature because of the Tarmogoyf last year. Yeah, so now we're actually looking at a 4/5 if this thing does resolve. That's a relevant clock, as Tarmogoyf oftentimes is. So here do you see our handy-dandy Tarmogoyf die. Ancient Tomb to draw. Now here's a Brainstorm.
And this is borderline spell pierceable here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 mana. Jared has to use one of his petals, and he's tight on mana. Puts an artifact in the graveyard for the Tarmogoyf. And Jared drew an Ancient Tomb this turn and Brainstormed before playing it.
A touch awkward.
And now we're here.
Yeah.
Where if he plays the Ancient Tomb first, there's no chance, or almost no chance that Jadine is spell piercing.
And he's going to cash it in. Daze gets even more interesting now, too, if she has one of those. But Brainstorm's going to resolve. So Gataxian Probe is 1. Lotus Petal is 2. Scalding Tarn is 3. Boettcher's in a little bit of trouble here. His draw is not great this game.
He's got nothing going on.
Yeah.
Let's be frank.
Yeah.
Not a lot going on over there.
Been sitting and drawing and cantripping a little bit, but not really doing all that much. There's a fetch land. He's going to try to crack this. See if this works. Jadine will consult the grip. That's good. See what land Jared wants to search for. I thought about it.
No. Don't want to get don't want to get a volcanic.
Nope, that's gonna die. Basic island it is.
Thinks better of it.
Not enough. Even though Boettcher has really done next to nothing this game, all it takes is a show and tell for him to win it.
Depending on what kind of resistance Jadine has on the way back, it could be good enough by itself.
That's what makes this deck frightening. Just happy to pass the turn back is Boettcher. Not going to cast that Gataxian Probe just yet. So Klomparens will draw a card. Looks like maybe a cantrip from her. Yes, a Brainstorm. That will resolve. So 3 cards coming here. 2, of course, will have to go back. There is a fetch land in play to make this a rather healthy brainstorm. Klomparens just looking for some permission at this point.
Just Force of Wills, Dazes, Spell Pierces, just the stuff to fight the fight.
Probably good enough to get the job done, right?
At this point, her clock is pretty substantial. It's 3 turns, it's 4 turns, or 3 if Jared pays a life or anything. That includes Force of Will or a fetch land. So the question is just, can you find enough shields, enough defenses to prevent Jared from forcing through the combo? It's going to be tough. Jared's down to 3 cards in hand.
Tropical Island, the card that Klomparens does search for, off of the Scalding Tarn. See how Jadine wants to move forward here. Again, that Wasteland, borderland useless at this point. Took another cantrip of Ponder here. So all this setup to hopefully prevent Boettcher from resolving one of his 8 big spells, 4 show and tells or 4 sneak attacks. Gonna shuffle with the Ponder here. Did not like what she saw.
Oh, Legacy.
Well, if you don't like shuffling, you come to the wrong place. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. But I love shuffling, so this is no sweat off my back. I absolutely love it. Maybe I'll just sign up in a tournament with just 60 lands and shuffle. Nothing to search for.
Yeah.
And hopefully play against you.
40 fetch lands, 4 ghost quarters. Trying to think what the other.
What are those bad fetch lands, like Bad River?
Oh yeah, you could play. Oh, what's that red creature from Alliances? You tap to shuffle someone's deck.
Oh yes. Oh, I'd put you in the hardest lock ever.
Yeah.
There's a Wooded Foothills.
It's gonna bother me that I can't remember the name of that card.
Here's a Ponder. Well, that's what Twitter's for. They can chime in at SCG Live.
Soldier of Fortune.
SCGINVI.
Soldier of
There
Fortune.
it is.
I believe.
Rack that old brain.
Yeah. Old is right.
Keep with this Ponder. Tarmogoyf come out and play for 5. Boettcher going to go down to 11. See if Klomparens wants to maybe add anything else to the board. Going to sacrifice a Wooded Foothills. You know what that means?
Time to pick up our deck and look through it.
That's right.
Go get a card and then
Shuffle it up.
give it a wash.
There's your good friend. Loyalty to coin alone, Patrick, is loyalty nonetheless. I've actually just been told that we are sold out of those at starts of the game, so you can't get one. Sorry. Fresh out.
Soldier of Fortune probably really enjoys playing Legacy.
Most
like
likely.
in his spare time, he probably plays a lot of Legacy.
There's a backup Tarmogoyf. So the shields are down.
Well,
In theory, Days Enforceable, of course, live, but no Spell Pierces here. Jared's got the opportunity to try to resolve something here. I mean, it's a substantial clock, of course. You know, it takes, maybe we could very easily see attack both those Tarmogoyfs lightning bolt you.
Yeah.
You're dead. Let's see what Boettcher draws for the turn. Ah, raise the eyebrows by the Rookie of the Year. Perhaps he found what he was looking for. He's had that Emrakul in his hand all game long. That's a Gataxian probe.
let's survey the damage.
Force of Will, Spell Snare, Nimble Mongoose.
Okay, I mean that's a hand Jared could possibly beat.
That is a beatable hand. And that's probably the reason that you see Jadine move in there with that other Tarmogoyf, saying, I can't sit around here and try to keep up appearances. He has to go for it soon anyway.
Yeah, 3 turns is too many turns to give Jared when you only have a Force of Will.
Ponder. Don't have a great look at him.
Looks like a pedal in a tomb. Can't make out the third card.
He keeps it. It's probably a show and tell. I imagine. Jared does keep it. And just pass the turn back. Wow. All right. Jadine in for 10. Put you to 1.
I like the attack.
You approve. That's good. Here's his nimble mongoose.
So Jared can't force a will back at this point.
Gristlebrand was the draw. That's a show and tell. This is obviously a force of will, and that is going to do it. Jadine Klomparens is going to win game number 1 here over Jared Boettcher. Rug Delver up a game over Sneak and Show.
Even though Jadine's draw was a little bit on the slow side, you saw what the Rug Delver plan is in the matchup. Essentially get something into play and fend off Jared long enough to apply 20 points of damage.
Jared's going to have to do a little bit more than that in game 2.
Yeah.
That much is for sure. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. I've got Boettcher's in front of me. I've got 2 Swan Songs, 3 Pyroclasms, a Shattering Spree, 2 Through the Breach, 2 Grep Digger's Cage, 2 Echoing Truce, and probably the most important one, especially because he's on the play, 3 copies of Blood Moon.
Blood Moon is a little suspicious against Rug Delver because they can get a clock into play, and then the Blood Moon may not do enough, but it's still powerful enough that's worth bringing in, especially since Sneak and Show can get it into play as early as the first turn. So it's not quite as good here as it is against some of the slower iterations of Delver, but it's still more than worth some sideboard slots.
What do you see on your side?
A Vendilion Click, 2 Red Blasts, 2 Graf Digger's Cages, 2 Rough Tumbles, a Grim Mancer, a Pithy Needle, 2 copies of Crozan Grip, a Sulfuric Vortex, a Divert, a Sulfur Elemental, and a Sylvan Library. I like the Pithy Needle a lot as it can name Sneak Attack. The Vendilion Click and the 2 copies of Red Blast. I think bringing in Crozan Grip is probably going a little bit too deep in terms of trying to fight the Sneak Attack fight, but I think the Needle is good here.
Well, we'll see how both players do elect the sideboard here, but right now we are going to talk about our state championships that are happening here in the autumn very soon, actually. I know it's September 1st on Monday, but October 11th and the 12th will be here before you even know it. And, you know, I'm a big fan of states, actually.
Yep, we're running 52, every state plus Puerto Rico plus Washington, D.C., October 11th or 12th. Compete for prizes, including a medal for our champions. SCGINVI.com/states for more information.
Of course, this artwork that you do see on the screen, if you top 8 states, you'll get that in a playmat, and if you win, you'll get that in black and white, which is really cool and super rare. You'll be one of 52 people who gets that.
Very sweet.
So again, October 11th and the 12th. StarCityGames.com/states for more information. Spring States was such a success that we're able to bring you guys Autumn States, not only this year, but spoiler alert, moving forward as well.
Yeah, we actually have dates announced for 2015. We're going to have Spring and Autumn States alongside Winter and Summer Regionals.
Yeah. So again, StarCityGames.com/states for more information as we do turn our attention back to the match between Jared Boettcher and Jadine Klomparens. Game number 2 here will be underway in just a bit.
What have you done with your wrestling medals?
They're at home at my parents' house.
Okay.
I could have dusted them off when I was there this week.
I never received any medals for competitions.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
I have more than 1 medal at my house from wrestling.
Yeah. I was in mock trial and model congress, so I have gavels. I have gavels.
That's actually better, because if you were to bring that around, you would just be awesome.
Oh, yeah, you can just, it's
just
sweet.
Gavel someone's deck.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I look like a doofus wearing a medal around.
Whenever your opponent's playing too slowly, instead of calling and judge, you start banging on the table with your gavel. Trust me, they'll start playing faster.
Because you look like a maniac.
Yeah.
That's why. No, I demand the next tournament you go to, the gavel. Bring it out.
I think Magic's judging program could be improved if there were more gavels
The
involved.
head judge?
Yeah. If you appeal to the head judge and they either uphold or overturn the ruling, bang a gavel down.
The players meeting.
When the players
quiet
meeting.
Down.
Exactly. Quiet down.
Really,
order in the room.
Yeah, order. I could certainly see Jared Silva doing that. Riki Hayashi.
Yeah.
A couple of my favorite judges. Get these people a gavel. We just fixed Magic.
Exactly.
We just turned it on its head. Looks like Jared's happy with his opening hand. Jadine taking a mulligan here.
I didn't have much of an amateur athletics career. I had some street athletics, but never actually in a formal setting.
You're a street baller.
Street baller.
Football?
Football.
Street football,
Yeah. Yep. I have the hands of an angel, so I was quite an effective wide receiver.
You're modest, too.
Yeah.
That's what I love about you. We played street football.
Yep.
We played street hockey.
Yeah, I did a little bit of that.
My friends down the street built some goalposts. And we used to just block the road.
Yeah.
And then have to move them when the cars came down. We
Me
played
too.
street baseball in a tennis court with tennis balls,
Yeah.
which was awesome. And we played street basketball, too, when I was a kid. And then we were all in recreational leagues for soccer. Because we all loved soccer. I played soccer for 15 years.
Wow.
Soccer is great.
I've started playing myself. I enjoy it.
And then I wrestled in middle school and high school. I can't believe you did none of these things. What did you do?
Model Congress, mock trial, Model UN. I was the student body representative to the Board of Education my senior year of high school.
Ah, you were that guy.
I was that guy.
Yeah.
And now I'm this guy hanging out with you.
You were so accomplished in high school.
Thought I was going to work in the United Nations or something, and now I'm just sitting here talking about brainstorms with you on the weekends.
Yeah. Pulling your hair out as the opponent shuffles their deck again.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. They've grown to accept it.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
they're cool.
What was the okay? Jadine's gonna take a mulligan here. I
Yeah.
think Jared's good to go. What was did your parents like that you played Magic when you were younger?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Mine too. What was the moment where they came to accept it?
When I had a job in game design, I think.
Okay.
Oh no, actually, I think the moment they came to accept it, there was a moment in my early 20s where me and the parents were on the outs for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
And I went to Japan for a pro tour and came back and was fine, like flew to Japan, flew back, played in a tournament, was in Japan for a few days.
Sure.
And my mom was like, well, I guess he's figured something out. He's enough of an adult to go to Japan and not get killed or anyone else killed.
My parents were like fine with it.
Yeah.
Because my dad used to drive me to the JSS and stuff. And then I decided this is basically all I wanted to do. And they were just like, you should focus on college, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I remember when I made the top 8 of the Pro Tour, I called my parents from Japan. And I don't know what time it was in Ohio, in between 3 or 4 a.m. And my mom thinking, what are you doing? And I top 8 of the tournament. And my mom just started waking up my dad and punching him and slapping him. And my dad is just like, what is going on? And I'm just like, I made top 8. He's like, cool. Don't call at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I never had a finish to brag about, so.
Oh, come on. I got 4 Grand Prix top 8s. Don't you have a win? Team win?
No, we
Second.
lost in the finals.
Second in DC, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You lost to the baby-faced assassin, Charles Gindy.
Yeah, we did.
A little bitter?
I don't want to. Well, we're already here. OSIP did not play great in the finals.
Jadine's mulliganing. We're
Yeah,
already here.
We're already here. OSIP did not play great in the finals.
Don't tell him that.
Well, I have told him that actually several dozen times. So,
Your third was Adam?
yeah.
Adam Horvath?
Yep. Against Bill Stead, Chris Fennell, and Charles Ginby.
Yeah, nobody knew who those guys were then.
Yeah.
Bill Stead, former national champion. Chris Fennell,
Pro Tour's most dominant limited player.
yeah, best limited player on the Pro Tour for some time now, and does have a Pro Tour top 8. And Charles Gindy, of course, has won a Pro Tour, was a national champion. I think he has a Grand Prix win too.
Also, the two teams, ours and theirs, represented the two most self-aggrandizing states in Magic, in New Jersey and Florida.
Florida, yeah.
So a lot of history there in that
Good.
finals.
Bit of a grudge match for Florida. Florida wins. Florida wins.
Florida wins.
As it always does. So let's see if Jadine can find a keepable one here. It's good enough, as Jared will sacrifice the Scalding Tarn and search up a land. Good old Florida. There's an island.
The finals of this Grand Prix were pre-team communication rules, so you just had to sit on the sideline and sweat it out.
Just watch Osip play bad. Can't say anything.
I don't want to say bad. I want to say not ideal. Did not maximize his opportunities.
I was at that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Playing with 2 of my friends from Ohio.
I assume you did not do well.
No, not exactly. Not exactly. It was a lot of fun, though. The ponder. I did get the pulse of the forge myself.
That is sweet.
Let's see what Jared wants to keep here. I hope that he shuffles.
We rarely see ponders get shuffled away early on. I feel like there's enough. It's almost like the information on your first 3 draw steps is worth keeping, you know, sub 50% on the balance 3 cards.
Lotus Petal going to come in here. Back to Jadine we go. Jadine will take her first turn of game number 2. Plays Wooded Foothills. Anything else to deploy here is the question.
There's a Delver Secrets and a Pyroblast in hand, so this is a functional 5-card hand.
I think you got to get that clock out there if you can. I know it's a little bit scary when they lead off with a pedal and a land, but just going to pass the turn back over to Boettcher, who will draw. Gataxian Probe is going to see if the coast is clear.
And Jared has picked up a Blood Moon, so this could be a very quick game here if Jadine does not have something of significance.
2 Delvers, a Ponder, a Wasteland, and a Elemental Blast. And none of those cards counter the mighty Blood Moon.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Yeah. Now, Blood Moon at times can be very hit or miss in this matchup. Now, depending on when you draw it and when you play it. But if you're able to play it on an empty board, it is very tough for your opponent to win.
It's very play-draw dependent as well.
Yes. Again, Jared knows that the coast is clear, so I'd be very surprised if he doesn't take this opportunity to deploy that, and he will.
This win is on the house.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Klomparens deck, well, no basics there.
Gonna do a quick check here.
Oh, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
While you keep checking, she's going to start shuffling.
Yeah, we're done here.
Yeah. A Blood Moon means that Jadine cannot cast any spells. All her lands are mountains. The spells that she tries to win with are blue or green. Yes, she can cast Force of Will. That's about all she can cast.
Yeah, sometimes with the the blue-white-red build of the deck, let's say, they'll play it out because there's a Batterskull. Someone could hypothetically win the game, but with Rug, if nothing's on the board, nothing's getting on the board. So
that's actually one thing.
Jadine widely packs it up.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that Owen Turtenwald was able to do. He was able at the Grand Prix in Washington, D.C. to win a match where a Blood Moon was cast against him very early by drawing Batterskull.
Yeah, it can happen. And Blood Moon in this matchup is very play-draw dependent too.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jared boards them out, but he also has the ability to cast it on turn 1 on the draw.
I feel like Sneak and Show has some flex slots that it can cut and bring in a couple cards kind of across the board. That's why the sideboard is kind of a smattering of a bunch of different stuff here. So I feel like he can still keep the Blood Moons in the deck. There's just no promise of them being especially good.
We'd like to give our good friend AJ Soccer a shout out for a fantastic tweet.
No, I don't. Why isn't he here? We miss you, man.
No, man.
We miss you, man.
Get
out here.
He hangs around this place in Vegas and doesn't do
anything. I know. I'm just saying. I miss you, man. Get to a tournament or 2.
You can tweet us too, if you like, at Cedric A. Phillips, at Basic Mountain, at SCG Live, hashtag SCGINVI. You guys know all that good stuff on Twitter, so feel free to do that. AJ almost got us to break on air. Almost got us to laugh. It was very close.
Yeah.
Very close.
Very close.
But we are true professionals, and we will not break.
More or less.
The true is strong.
Yeah.
I think. But held steady. Almost got me. Almost got me there.
It's tough. I mean, I'm still smiling a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
as am I.
Yeah.
As am I. Boettcher and Klomparens, game number 3 will be underway here in just a moment. Kind of feel bad for Jadine. Goes through all that work of shuffling, mulliganing. All right, play a Blood Moon. All right, I guess I'll shuffle and mulligan again. Guess it's about that time.
It is the essence of the Legacy experience.
I do wonder what Jared's record was with Sneak and Show this week. I kind of want to ask him.
Some games you're just going to get locked out. That's just a thing that happens.
That's Legacy.
Yeah. If you know what you're signing up for when you enter the tournament, you're going to have a really good time. But you have to acknowledge that sometimes someone's just going to do some pretty heinous stuff to you. Wasteland.
With no remorse.
Wasteland, your first couple of lands. They're actually not only no remorse, they're going to go out and talk to their friends about the awesome round they just played.
Yeah, hey, did you win your last round?
Yeah,
I did.
Blood Moon just conceded.
He played on basics. I killed them.
Yeah.
He tried to crack a fetch land.
I stifled it.
Yeah. See ya.
I went turn 1 Ancient Tomb, Chalice on 1. It was awesome. But if you can accept that these things happen from time to time, Legacy is really fun.
I mean, I can't be one to talk. I played Boettcher for 9 months.
Yeah.
So who am I? Gonna keep here with the old Gataxian probe. Boettcher's hand is a pretty good one. You've got an Ancient Tomb and an island along with a Ponder, a Brainstorm, a Swan Song, a Show and Tell, and a Blood Moon.
Well, it's a very sneak and show kind of hand. It can become excellent if the Ponder and the Brainstorm hit the right way, or it's unplayable, depending on what the first couple cards look like. But you just have to keep hands like this. This hand's totally fine.
Yeah, I think you keep this hand a very high percentage of the time, especially in this matchup.
But there is a failure rate for this
sure.
hand.
Swift Klomparens drew. There's Volcanic Island. There's a Brainstorm on turn 1. 2 and 3. Early in this game, a Brainstorm.
I'm trying to see what could compel her to Brainstorm on the main phase.
I mean, the fear of a card like a Spell Pierce, like a Red Elemental or Pyroblast, even though Jared doesn't have the red mana for that stuff yet, so it is a little bit surprising to see this take place on the first turn of the game.
I mean, there's the Swan Song in Jared's hand, but it seems like if Jared's Swan Songing your Brainstorm here on the first turn, you're probably pretty stoked.
Jared drew a really good Magic card.
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, wow. The patience is impressive to me. Here's a Brainstorm for Jared. That's going to resolve. Blood Moon, a Polluted Delta, and another copy of Blood Moon are the cards that Jared did draw for the turn. Jared draw for, he drew those 2 Blood Moons in the Delta off the Brainstorm. His draw for the turn was actually Lotus Petal. So he could have tried to resolve a turn 1 Blood Moon there. You work your way, and dazes work to the equation there. So he's taking a more cautious approach.
It's really risky. You may win the game there, but probably what's more likely to happen is you get dazed and you're really light on resources.
Some Brainstorms to begin things, as Klomparens just draw a card.
Also, he has the opportunity to do it next turn with Swan Song backup too, which is also nice.
Swan Song backup, able to play around a daze.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
A lot more protection. He can
Delta.
also, another alternate line here is he can just wait. I mean, there's no rush to do anything. Again, while Jadine's not presenting any pressure, just build up a better hand. And it might turn out that he doesn't have to go down the Blood Moon path at all, that he can simply draw one of his large creatures and win that way.
Yep. If there's no Delver or Tarmogoyf for Nibble Mongoose out there, what's the rush?
Exactly.
Time for a Ponder. So 3 cards coming. I look at a Blood Moon you already knew about, a Gristlebrand, and I believe a Brainstorm is what Boettcher is looking at right now.
If that's a Gataxian Probe, that's about the best draw imaginable for Jared.
Yeah, that could be in there as well. And if Probe does resolve, oh, the info.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Jared would be happy to draw Glasses of Urza in this spot.
Yeah.
So drawing Gataxian Probes, quite a bit better.
Any way to get a look. And it was a Probe. Boettcher may be trying to think about if he should fire this off now, and he will. Let's get a little look-ski-poo. So here's the grip. And it is not a very impressive one.
Uh-oh.
A Delver, a Tarmogoyf for Nibble Mongoose, Stifle, Wasteland, and Wooded Foothills. Jared has to be thrilled to see that.
Yeah. I mean, this is a hand with no resistance to Blood Moon.
Of course, Jared, I don't think can go for it on this turn. He's already played his land for the turn. But next turn, Blood Moon is good to go, as Klomparens is going to sacrifice Wooded Foothills. Tropical Island will be the land that Jadine does search up. We'll, of course, shuffle and present the deck in just a moment and then move on to her third turn. She's got to get something on the table.
Well, Jadine was trying to keep up appearances there for a little while. Now she can no longer do that. So I think what's likely to happen here is Jadine will cast what she can cast. You know, Tarmogoyf and Delver of Secrets, let's say. Jared will likely get to resolve a Blood Moon, and then we'll see if he can cobble together a kill before Jadine is able to kill Jared with the creatures she deploys this turn.
Yeah, hope for the best. I think that's really all she can do at this point. Is her hand is very poor given the matchup and the situation. Cataxian Prove proving its worth.
Yeah,
as always.
As always.
Quite the magic card.
It took a little while for all the horses to cross the finish line, but now people do have it in decks.
Did have to pay 2 life, though.
That's a huge cost. Yeah. The games are over on turn 3.
There's a Wooded Foothills. So that'll come into play. And I think if in this situation, if you're Jadine, you just have to deploy threats, and I think she's just passing the turn back. Now I'm checking the sideboard for Vendilion Click. Any?
There is 1 copy,
all right,
which I believe is very likely that you brought in.
Yep.
But keep in mind, Jared's now dealing with 1 mystery draw step. That's it.
Yep.
Maybe it's a counter spell. If it's a click, he'll find out soon enough, most likely.
He knows about the Stifle. Boettcher going to draw a card. Even if it is a card like Forcible in this situation, it's just kind of like, okay. Yep. I mean, he's moving in.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. The upside's too high here.
There's Blood Moon. Yeah. With authority. Yeah, and that's going to do it. Okay, fair enough. Jared Boettcher is going to win this match over Jadine Klomparens. 2-1. Sneak and Show, taking down Rug Delver. I think in that situation, if you're Jadine, may have to mulligan that hand.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's enough. Well, you have 2 options. You can mulligan that hand, or you can just cast your stuff.
Yeah.
Those are, the 2 roads. But I think that path is, you can hold up your defenses there for a while, or at least present that you have something to protect yourself with. But eventually, Jared's either going to assemble a hand good enough to go for it, or he'll draw a Gataxian Probe, see what's going on, and win the game from there. So,
and after you do get probed in that situation, and you reveal your hand of it basically being, all creatures in that situation, and then just 1 Stifle, there's nothing that's really going to stop Jared from trying to do something.
Yeah.